The Long-Range Acoustic Device, LRAD, is a high-intensity acoustic hailing device originally developed for military use but now employed by law enforcement, maritime security, and other organizations worldwide. Often referred to as a sonic weapon or sound cannon when used for crowd control, it's designed to emit powerful, focused sound waves over long distances. Here's a detailed breakdown of what LRAD is, how it works, its applications, effects, and controversies. What is LRAD? LRAD was first developed by the LRAD Corporation, now part of Genesis Incorporated, following the 2000 USS Cole bombing, where the U.S. Navy sought a way to communicate clearly with approaching vessels at a distance to enforce safe zones. It functions as both a long-range communication tool and, in certain modes, a non-lethal deterrent. Unlike traditional loudspeakers, LRAD uses an array of piezoelectric transducers, devices that convert electrical energy into sound, to produce a highly directional beam of audio that remains intelligible over vast distances, cutting through background noise like wind, engines, or crowds. How does it work? LRAD operates by focusing sound waves into a narrow beam, typically 15 to 30 degrees wide, rather than dispersing sound in all directions like conventional speakers. This directionality is achieved through phase alignment. The transducers are synchronized to reinforce sound waves in the desired direction while canceling them out elsewhere. High sound pressure levels. LRAD can produce sound up to 162 decibels, dB, at 1 meter, depending on the model. For context, 120 dB is the human pain threshold, and a jet engine at 100 feet is around 140 dB. Frequency range. It typically operates within the human hearing spectrum, 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, with its alert tones often weighted around 2,000 to 4,000 Hz, where human ears are most sensitive. The device has two primary modes. Voice mode acts as a loudspeaker to broadcast clear messages or warnings, audible up to 5,500 meters, about 3.4 miles, in ideal conditions. Alert mode emits a piercing, high-pitched tone or chirping sound to deter or disorient targets, often exceeding 140 dB at close range. Models vary in size and power, from portable units like the LRAD 100X, up to 137 dB, to vehicle-mounted systems like the LRAD 2000X, up to 162 dB. Applications. LRAD has a wide range of uses. Military, used on naval ships to warn off pirates or unauthorized vessels, e.g., repelling Somali pirates attacking the Seaborne Spirit in 2005, and in conflict zones like Iraq for checkpoint crowd control. Law enforcement, employed during protests to issue commands or disperse crowds, as seen in the 2020 U.S. Black Lives Matter protests, the 2011 Occupy Wall Street movement, and the 2022 New Zealand Parliament protest. Maritime security, installed on cruise ships and commercial vessels to deter piracy. Public safety. Used for disaster communication, such as delivering COVID-19 announcements in places like Bad Homburg, Germany, in 2020. Wildlife management, disperses birds or other animals from airports or sensitive areas. Effects on people. The effects of LRAD depend on proximity, duration of exposure, and the mode used. Short-term effects. At high volumes, above 120 dB, the alert mode can cause immediate pain, disorientation, nausea, dizziness, and migraines. Witnesses describe it as feeling like a head vibrating in a bowl of jelly or looking into the sun acoustically. Long-term risks. Exposure to 140 dB or more, even briefly, can cause permanent hearing loss by damaging cochlear hair cells in the inner ear. A 2009 case in Pittsburgh saw a woman win a lawsuit after suffering lasting hearing damage from an LRAD used during a G20 summit protest. Other claims. Some report lingering sensitivity to loud noises, e.g., sirens, months after exposure, though scientific studies on these effects are limited. There's no evidence LRAD causes widespread bodily harm beyond the auditory system, unlike misconceptions linking it to devices like the active denial system, which uses heat, not sound. How is it made? LRAD's construction involves piezoelectric transducers. These are the core sound-producing components, made from materials that generate sound when electrically stimulated. Waveguide technology shapes and directs the sound beam for maximum range and focus. Rugged design, built to withstand harsh environments, with portable units weighing as little as 15 pounds, e.g., LRAD 100X, and larger systems mountable on vehicles or helicopters. Control systems. Operators can adjust volume, switch modes, and aim the device manually or remotely, in advanced models like the 500X RT. Controversies and legal issues. LRAD's use as a sonic weapon has sparked debate. Health concerns. Critics, including the American Civil Liberties Union, argue that its potential for hearing damage and lack of comprehensive health studies make it unsafe for civilian use. Audiology groups have issued warnings about its deployment. Human rights. Its use against peaceful protesters has been called excessive, with cases like the 2020 NYPD deployment challenged in U.S. courts. International human rights law requires non-lethal weapons to minimize harm and avoid indiscriminate effects, standards some say LRAD violates at close range. Manufacturer's stance. Genesis maintains LRAD is a communication tool, not a weapon, and that its alert function is a safe escalation of force compared to tear gas or batons. They argue hearing damage only occurs if misused at extreme settings. Global use and examples. LRAD is used in over 100 countries and 550 U.S. cities. Notable instances include Serbia, March 15, 2025 reports claim Serbian police used LRAD during an anti-government protest, allegedly causing a stampede and injuring 50 people, though the Ministry of Internal Affairs denied its use. Australia, Queensland police have used it since 2009, with broader adoption by 2016. Greece, deployed at the Evros border in 2020 to deter migrants. Critical perspective. While marketed as non-lethal, LRAD's ability to cause permanent injury raises questions about its proportionality in crowd control. Its effectiveness relies on pain and fear, blurring the line between communication and coercion. Limited regulation and operator training exacerbate risks, especially when used on unsuspecting civilians or bystanders. The lack of peer-reviewed research on long-term effects leaves a gap between its claimed safety and real-world outcomes. In summary, LRAD is a versatile but controversial tool, balancing utility in communication and security with significant potential for harm when wielded as a sonic deterrent. Its evolution from a naval safeguard to a fixture in modern policing reflects both technological innovation and the ongoing tension between control and rights.